Have you ever admired those breathtaking cottage gardens online? Overflowing with colorful blooms, alive with buzzing bees, and glowing beautifully in the golden evening light. And wondered if gardens can really look that perfect in everyday life? Because the truth is, many traditional cottage garden flowers only look their best for a short period. Some fade quickly after blooming. Others flop over after heavy rain, struggle during hot weather, or become untidy and unattractive by midsummer. Some require constant watering. Some bloom once and then disappear from the spotlight for the rest of the season. And some demand far more maintenance than most gardeners expect. But not every cottage garden flower behaves that way. Certain plants seem to get better with age. They tolerate poor soil, summer heat, strong winds, and even occasional neglect while continuing to flower, spread naturally, and attract pollinators year after year. Those are the flowers we're highlighting today. These are the cottage garden favorites that truly earn their place in the landscape. Plants that create that romantic, old-fashioned storybook appearance while requiring far less effort than you might think. And a few of them are so durable and forgiving that it's surprisingly difficult to make them fail. 1. Foxglove. Few flowers can transform the mood of a garden as dramatically as foxglove. As soon as its tall flowering spires emerge above surrounding plants, the entire space begins to feel more enchanting, timeless, and full of character. Yet many gardeners are surprised to discover that foxglove offers much more than impressive looks. Beneath its elegant appearance lies a remarkably adaptable and resilient plant. Once established, foxgloves handle cool temperatures, partial shade, and less than ideal soil conditions surprisingly well. While many flowering plants struggle in areas with reduced sunlight, foxgloves often thrive, bringing color and height to difficult corners of the garden. Their towering stems become covered with rows of tubular, bell-shaped flowers that can reach heights of 5 feet or more. The blooms appear in shades of purple, pink, cream, white, apricot, and even soft yellow, creating a stunning display that lasts for weeks. A closer look reveals beautifully speckled patterns inside each flower. These markings act almost like landing guides, helping bees find their way into the blooms. And the bees certainly take notice. During flowering season, foxgloves often become one of the busiest spots in the garden, attracting pollinators from morning until evening. One reason foxglove fits so naturally into cottage-style gardens is its ability to self-seed. Most varieties are biennials, meaning they spend their first year developing foliage and roots before producing flowers in their second year. However, if some seed heads are left untouched, new plants will often emerge naturally nearby. Over time, this creates the charming impression that the flowers have arranged themselves throughout the garden without human intervention. This relaxed, spontaneous appearance is one of the defining characteristics of classic cottage gardens. Foxgloves prefer soil that remains lightly moist but drains well, and they usually perform best with morning sunlight and some afternoon protection. In hotter climates, shade during the warmest part of the day can help keep plants healthy. Although they appear delicate and refined, established foxgloves are far tougher than most people expect. One important consideration is that all parts of the plant are toxic if consumed, so gardeners with pets or young children should choose planting locations carefully. Still, when it comes to creating atmosphere and vertical interest, very few flowers can rival foxglove. It doesn't simply fill a space with flowers, it fills a garden with character. 2. Delphinium. If foxglove brings charm and mystery, delphinium brings drama. These magnificent perennials produce some of the tallest and most eye-catching flower spikes found in any cottage garden. When delphiniums reach full bloom, they instantly become the center of attention. Their towering stems are densely packed with flowers in shades of deep blue, lavender, violet, pink, and pure white, creating impressive columns of color that rise above neighboring plants. Unlike flowers that quietly blend into the background, delphiniums demand to be noticed. And despite their refined appearance, they can become surprisingly dependable when grown in the right environment. Delphiniums thrive in regions with cooler summers, fertile soil, and consistent moisture. They appreciate rich, well-drained ground and often reward gardeners with years of impressive flowering once established. Their biggest challenge isn't poor performance, it's their extraordinary size. The flower spikes can become so tall and heavily covered with blossoms that strong winds or heavy rain occasionally cause them to lean or bend. For this reason, Many gardeners provide simple supports to keep the stems upright. The effort is well worth it. A mature clump of blooming delphiniums creates a display that few other flowers can match. Their vertical structure adds height, elegance, and architectural interest to garden borders. Pollinators are equally impressed. Bees move continuously from flower to flower, while butterflies often gather around the colorful spikes throughout the blooming season. One of the reasons delphiniums fit so naturally into cottage gardens is the contrast they provide. Their dramatic flower stalks rise from finely textured foliage that remains soft and delicate, creating a beautiful balance between boldness and grace. This combination helps maintain the relaxed, layered appearance that cottage gardens are famous for. To encourage the best performance, gardeners often remove spent flower spikes after blooming. In favorable conditions, this may stimulate a second flush of flowers later in the season, extending the display well into summer. Adding compost each spring, applying mulch around the base of the plants, and protecting them from strong winds can all contribute to healthier growth and more impressive blooms. As the years pass, established delphiniums become some of the most memorable features in the landscape. Even a handful of plants can completely change the structure, color, and visual impact of an entire garden, creating the kind of breathtaking display that people remember long after they've seen it. 3. Coneflower. Coneflowers are one of those rare plants that seem to combine beauty, toughness, and reliability all in one package. They tolerate drought, poor soil, strong summer sun, and periods of neglect far better than many popular garden flowers. Yet despite their rugged nature, they continue producing colorful blooms for months on end. Originally native to the prairies of North America, coneflowers evolved in challenging environments where they learned to survive heat, dry conditions, and unpredictable weather. That natural resilience is one reason they have become favorites among gardeners looking for low-maintenance plants. As the plants mature, they develop deep root systems capable of reaching moisture far below the soil surface. This allows them to stay healthy and continue flowering even when rainfall becomes scarce. But durability is only part of their appeal. The flowers themselves are what truly capture attention. Each bloom features graceful, daisy-like petals surrounding a distinctive raised center cone. Traditional varieties display shades of rosy purple and pink, but modern breeding has introduced an incredible range of colors including white, yellow, orange, coral, red, peach, and even lime green. Their vibrant blooms create a cheerful display that lasts throughout much of the growing season. Pollinators seem equally attracted to them. Bees gather around the prominent central cones, butterflies visit continuously throughout the day, and later in the season, birds often feast on the seeds left behind after flowering. This extended season of usefulness makes coneflowers especially valuable in cottage gardens. Even after the flowers fade, the dried seed heads remain attractive well into autumn and winter, adding texture, structure, and seasonal interest to the landscape. Coneflowers also pair beautifully with a wide variety of companion plants. Combined with ornamental grasses, salvias, yarrow, black-eyed Susans, or other cottage garden favorites, they help create a natural-looking display filled with movement and color. Perhaps the best thing about coneflowers is how little they ask for in return. Give them sunshine and reasonably well-drained soil, and they usually take care of themselves. They rarely demand constant watering, frequent fertilizing, or intensive maintenance. Instead, they quietly establish themselves and often become more vigorous with each passing year. Rather than simply enduring difficult conditions, coneflowers help provide stability and structure throughout the entire garden. 4. Hollyhock. Few flowers capture the spirit of a traditional cottage garden quite like hollyhock. With their towering stems, abundant blooms, and unmistakable old-world charm, hollyhocks look as though they belong in a painting from another era. These impressive plants grow rapidly, often reaching heights of 6 to 8 feet or even taller under favorable conditions. Their flower-covered stems create dramatic vertical accents beside fences, walls, sheds, and garden pathways. As the flowering season begins, buds gradually open from the bottom of the stalk upward, creating an extended display that can continue for weeks. Instead of producing all their flowers at once, hollyhocks provide a steady progression of blooms that keeps the garden colorful for much longer. Although their appearance may seem delicate and refined, established hollyhocks are often tougher than many gardeners expect. They thrive in full sunlight and appreciate good air circulation, but once rooted, they can tolerate periods of dry weather surprisingly well. Another reason hollyhocks fit so naturally into cottage-style landscapes is their ability to self-seed. If seed heads are left on the plant after flowering, new seedlings often emerge naturally the following season. Over time, this creates a relaxed, informal look where flowers appear to drift gracefully throughout the garden without strict planning. This spontaneous effect is one of the hallmarks of classic cottage garden design. Pollinators are drawn to hollyhocks as well. Bees frequently disappear deep inside the large blossoms, while hummingbirds are often attracted to taller varieties during peak bloom. Gardeners occasionally encounter rust disease, particularly in regions with high humidity. However, proper spacing between plants and good airflow usually help minimize problems. Modern cultivars have also become increasingly resistant to common diseases. The visual impact of hollyhocks is difficult to match. Their tall flowering towers bring height, color, and romance to any landscape. More than simply decorating walls or fences, hollyhocks soften hard structures and help blend buildings naturally into the surrounding garden. The result is a landscape that feels warmer, more inviting, and wonderfully timeless. 5. Yarrow. Yarrow may not be the flashiest flower in the garden, but it is undoubtedly one of the most dependable. At first glance, its clusters of small flowers and fern-like foliage may seem modest compared to larger, more dramatic blooms. Yet beneath that simple appearance is an incredibly hard-working plant that contributes far more than most people realize. Yarrow thrives where many other flowers struggle. It handles heat, drought, poor soil, and challenging growing conditions with remarkable ease while continuing to bloom for long periods throughout the season. In many ways, yarrow behaves more like a resilient wildflower than a traditional garden plant. Its natural toughness allows it to flourish with very little intervention, making it a favorite among gardeners who want beauty without constant maintenance. While classic varieties typically produce white or yellow flowers, modern cultivars are available in an impressive palette of colors including pink, coral, peach, red, salmon, and deep golden shades. The broad, flat flower clusters serve as convenient landing platforms for pollinators and beneficial insects. Throughout the growing season, bees, butterflies, hoverflies, and many other helpful insects regularly visit yarrow blooms. This constant activity benefits far more than the yarrow itself. Healthy cottage gardens function as living ecosystems filled with pollinators, predators, and other beneficial creatures that help maintain balance naturally. Yarrow plays an important role in supporting that ecosystem. Its flowers attract insects that assist with pollination and natural pest control. Its deep roots help improve soil structure and drought resistance. And its ability to thrive during hot weather helps maintain color in the garden when many other plants begin to fade. Visually, yarrow acts as an excellent companion plant. Its delicate foliage softens stronger shapes, while the flat flower heads provide contrast against taller vertical flowers like foxgloves, hollyhocks, and delphiniums. Another advantage is its ease of propagation. As mature clumps expand, they can be divided every few years and replanted elsewhere in the garden. A single healthy plant can eventually provide dozens of new additions throughout the landscape. Perhaps most importantly, yarrow often reaches its peak performance during the hottest part of summer. When many traditional flowers begin to wilt and struggle, yarrow continues growing confidently, bringing dependable color and life to the garden exactly when it's needed most. 6. Catmint. Some garden flowers seem to need constant attention, regular watering, and endless maintenance to stay attractive. Catmint is not one of them. Instead, it quietly forms soft clouds of foliage and flowers, blooms for months, attracts countless pollinators, and somehow improves the appearance of everything planted around it. That effortless reliability is one reason experienced gardeners value it so highly. At first glance, catmint may not appear as dramatic as towering delphiniums or large flowering roses, but once it begins blooming, its impact on the overall garden becomes impossible to ignore. The combination of silver-gray foliage and abundant lavender-blue flowers creates a relaxed, romantic atmosphere that perfectly captures the spirit of a traditional cottage garden. Perhaps even more impressive is how easy it is to grow. Catmint thrives in conditions that challenge many other plants. It tolerates drought, poor soil, intense sunlight, and summer heat with remarkable ease. In fact, one of the few ways to cause problems is by giving it too much water. Unlike moisture-loving perennials, catmint often performs best in leaner, drier conditions. Once established, it becomes one of the most dependable plants in the landscape. Another reason for its popularity is its exceptionally long bloom period. While many flowers put on a brief display before fading away, catmint continues producing flowers for months. A simple trim after the first flush of blooms often encourages an entirely new wave of flowering, extending the display deep into summer. The pollinator activity around catmint is equally impressive. Bees are especially attracted to it. On warm, sunny days, the flowers are constantly buzzing with activity as pollinators move from bloom to bloom collecting nectar. This steady stream of wildlife helps make the garden feel dynamic and alive. Catmint also serves an important design purpose. In gardens filled with tall, upright flowers, the landscape can sometimes feel overly structured or rigid. Catmint softens those stronger shapes with its flowing habit, creating smooth transitions between plants and helping borders feel more natural. This is one reason landscape designers use it so frequently. Its mounding shape acts almost like a visual bridge, connecting different plants together while adding movement and texture. One of the most famous cottage garden pairings combines catmint with roses. The cool blue-purple flowers create a stunning contrast beneath soft pink, cream, or white rose blooms. Together, they create a classic look that has remained popular for generations. Even when roses finish their main flowering cycle, catmint continues filling the area with color and interest. The plant also offers excellent resistance to many common garden problems. Deer generally ignore it. Rabbits rarely cause damage, and most insect pests leave it alone. When brushed against, the foliage releases a pleasant herbal fragrance that adds another sensory dimension to the garden experience. In many ways, catmint embodies the philosophy behind successful cottage gardening. Natural beauty without constant effort. It quietly spreads, blooms generously, attracts wildlife, and helps make the entire landscape feel more relaxed, welcoming, and alive. 7. Shasta Daisy. Some flowers impress with bold colors and dramatic shapes. Others win gardeners over through simple elegance. Shasta daisies belong firmly in the second group, bringing brightness, freshness, and a cheerful sense of optimism wherever they grow. As soon as the flowers begin opening, the entire garden seems lighter and more inviting. Their brilliant white petals surrounding sunny golden centers create one of the most recognizable flower forms in the world. Although simple in appearance, that simplicity is precisely what makes them so effective in cottage garden designs. They create balance. In gardens overflowing with rich colors and complex textures, Shasta daisies provide visual breathing room. Their clean white blooms soften stronger colors and help tie different planting combinations together. The result is a garden that feels harmonious rather than overwhelming. Unlike some delicate flowers that bloom briefly before disappearing, Shasta daisies are remarkably durable. They flower heavily for extended periods and often continue producing blooms throughout much of summer with minimal maintenance. As plants mature, they gradually expand into larger clumps, creating impressive drifts of white flowers year after year. This natural abundance is one reason they fit so perfectly into cottage-style landscapes. Their adaptability is another major advantage. Once established, Shasta daisies tolerate heat, periods of drought, and a wide range of growing conditions. As long as they receive plenty of sunlight and reasonably well-drained soil, they generally perform exceptionally well. Their sturdy stems provide another benefit. While some cottage garden flowers bend or collapse after storms, Shasta daisies often remain upright and attractive, even after heavy rain or strong winds. One of their greatest strengths is their versatility. They pair beautifully with roses, lavender, salvias, coneflowers, foxgloves, catmint, and ornamental grasses. Their neutral color allows them to complement almost any planting combination without competing for attention. This flexibility explains why professional designers rely on them so often. Pollinators appreciate them too. Their open flower centers provide easy access for bees, butterflies, and other beneficial insects, helping support a healthy garden ecosystem. There is also something deeply nostalgic about daisies. For many people, they evoke memories of sunny meadows, countryside gardens, and carefree summer days. Few flowers create such an immediate sense of comfort and familiarity. Not every unforgettable garden requires rare or exotic plants. Sometimes the flowers people remember most are the ones that simply make them smile. Another reason Shasta daisies remain so popular is their ability to maintain an attractive appearance throughout the growing season. As older blooms fade, new flowers continue opening, ensuring the plants rarely look tired or empty. When planted in generous groups, they create flowing rivers of white blooms that sway gracefully in the breeze. That movement adds life to the landscape. After all, the most memorable gardens aren't just beautiful to look at. They feel alive when you're standing among them. 8. Lavender. Few plants combine beauty, fragrance, durability, pollinator value, and low maintenance as successfully as lavender. In fact, many gardeners accidentally harm lavender, not through neglect, but by giving it too much attention. Lavender originated in the dry, rocky regions of the Mediterranean, where it adapted to intense sunlight, poor soil, and limited water. Because of this heritage, overly rich soil and excessive moisture often create more problems than benefits. Lavender naturally prefers challenging conditions, and that resilience makes it perfectly suited to cottage gardens. While many plants struggle during long periods of heat and drought, lavender often continues looking healthy and attractive. Its silver-green foliage reflects sunlight and helps conserve moisture, allowing the plant to remain beautiful long before flowering begins. Then the blooms arrive, and everything changes. The elegant purple flower spikes instantly add color and structure to the garden, while their fragrance transforms the surrounding space. During warm afternoons and quiet summer evenings, lavender releases a calming scent that drifts through pathways, patios, and seating areas, creating a relaxing atmosphere unlike almost any other garden plant. Pollinators are equally drawn to it. Bees seem especially unable to resist lavender flowers. During peak bloom, large plantings buzz continuously with activity as pollinators move between blossoms throughout the day. This constant movement benefits the entire garden ecosystem. Lavender is also remarkably versatile. It works beautifully as a border plant, pathway edging, pollinator magnet, culinary herb, fragrant cut flower, and dried arrangement material. Very few plants serve so many functions at once. Unlike flowers that disappear after blooming, lavender continues providing structure and visual interest for much of the year. In many climates, its evergreen or semi-evergreen foliage remains attractive through multiple seasons. That year-round presence is incredibly valuable in garden design. Its cool-toned foliage complements almost every flower color imaginable. Lavender is especially famous for its partnership with roses, creating one of the most iconic combinations in gardening. The soft purple blooms beneath pink, cream, or white roses create a scene that feels both elegant and timeless. At the same time, lavender's compact form helps anchor the looser, more sprawling plants often found in cottage gardens. Another reason gardeners appreciate lavender is its independence. Once established, it generally requires less water, less fertilizer, and less maintenance than many flowering plants. Too much fertilizer often reduces blooming, while excessive moisture can damage the roots. Lavender rewards restraint rather than constant intervention. Perhaps that is part of its enduring appeal. It demonstrates that some of the most beautiful plants perform best when allowed to grow naturally. And perhaps that's one of the greatest lessons cottage gardens can teach. The flowers that truly succeed are rarely the ones demanding perfect conditions. They are the ones capable of thriving in the real world while filling the garden with color, fragrance, pollinators, movement, and beauty year after year.